So today I have the opportunity of meeting Marlie Malan, who's a life coach, a certified international life coach, which I was absolutely mesmerized and kind of for the past month and a half been hounding you to try and get you on the show, as well as a personal trainer. And Marlie, thank you for being here today and welcome
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And I've got a few questions to ask you. And I think the work that you do, which is your internationally certified life coach, as well as a personal trainer, there are many, many questions that I'd love to ask you. But I think for starters, tell us about Marlie. Who are you? Where'd your journey start?
Yeah, thank you. I love this question because, a journey like this doesn't start with a six-pack or a business plan in hand. So my journey into fitness started really 15 years ago, when at the time I was still a stay-at-home mum, looking after my then 8 and 5-year-old son and daughter.
That's when you started your fitness journey.
This is actually when I started. I was always active in my younger days. So the personal training part actually was just an extension of what I already was doing in my life. So for me, being a stay-at-home mum, there was this need to level up a bit for myself, to grow as a person. And that is really when it started for me doing some research. And this is how I got to this company, Focus, that this is now for personal training, where I then started to do personal training, of course, with exercise science and a nutrition course. So the three combined then is what I started off in the beginning. And then I only started training my friends for free. And then it escalates to my friends of friends, also for free, for many years. It was not really, I didn't have a business in mind when I started this journey.
Your personal training
The personal training journey. Okay. So for me, that's actually the life coaching part started only 7 years ago.
Okay. So just prior COVID?
Yes, actually smack down just before COVID.
So when you were certified internationally at the UK, you mentioned
that was
Europe.
The UK, yes. It is a New Insights. It's a UK-based academy. So I did some research again. And actually it was my husband who put me on this path. He said, Marlie, your youngest is going to high school. What are you going to do for the whole day now? They were at the school where the bus will pick them at 6 o'clock in the morning and drop them off at 4:30 in the afternoon. So it was literally the whole day. And so I started again looking for something out of my comfort zone. And I did the research and I came along of new insights. And my journey starts there, and it was smack down in COVID. So
just before COVID or during COVID?
Just before COVID.
Okay, this is where your life coaching journey started.
Yes.
Just before COVID?
Just before COVID. It was actually the October 2019. Sorry, just before COVID.
Okay.
So
and with it, tell us about the certification. Is it for kids, single parents, adults, corporates? Who do you specialize in with regards to your life coaching business?
So,
which I think, sorry to interrupt you, Marlie, I think it's such an important topic in this day and age with what's going on in the economy, social structure. There's a lot of confusion. I think, and that's why I was absolutely enthused and kept Marlie, and you were like, no, I'm busy. And I'm like, Marlie, so thank you for being here again today. Tell us more. We want to hear, and I've got very specific questions.
So the whole life coaching research started obviously on Google, and I want something that I can use immediately. So this whole course is like a 2 years course with 50 hours of practice included. So you almost cannot do it less than 2 years. So the course is all about how you can get a client from who he think he is to what he think he can become.
So that transition,
That transition.
which
So
you specialize in, we're helping with that transition.
So a life coach comes in the gap between where you are now and where you can be.
Okay, elaborate for us when it comes to life coaching in your industry with life coaching. Tell us more.
Okay. So let me first define life coaching for you. So a life coach is a professional person who help people to set new goals. So in other words, it's almost the same as a personal trainer. You get to the gym, you work with a personal trainer and you build muscles or lose weight or whatever your goal might be. So the personal trainer is a facilitator to achieve the goals and to maintain them. That's the important part.
In the most effective and efficient way.
Exactly.
So emotional...
to stay consistent with what you do. And to do that, we work first on mindset. So your mindset is the first thing that we would like to change in life coaching.
Okay. And if I may ask, how do you do that? What fascinates me is that, you've been doing this for almost growing, 6th year now, life coaching, and your entire business has been word of mouth, which is incredibly powerful. Clearly, you make an impact in the community, and I'm curious to know, how you actually do that. If somebody contacts you, Marlie, I guess my follow-up question is, at what age to begin with? Single mom, dad, who are your ideal customers? And perhaps the next question would be the first consult. What do you do? How you do it? So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So my clients basically are people, they're not people that are broken or need to be fixed. It's not people that is in a fix. It is really people who think that they can become more of what they are at the moment. So the clients really, in the beginning, obviously I start my coaching with what the tools was presented to me while I was studying, and that is the typical life wheel. So you start off with the life wheel, which got all the 8 parts of life. But with time, I realized that you cannot put all different clients into one box of rules and expect the same outcome. So with time, I've changed the approach with clients. So to get back to the age of my clients, the youngest at the moment is a 10-year boy. And then the oldest lady, unfortunately, she passed away last year, was 72 years old. And she still changes at 72 years. So it just shows you that the moment we invest with the tools of life coaching, we can get you to change your mindset. And that's where everything started.
I think it's an incredible skill in order to be able, and I suppose being a mom yourself and years of experience of sleepless nights and making dinner and cooking dinner, and it's an incredible skill in order to talk, perhaps in terms of a 10-year-old value, how to take where he or she is and have goals, set it, and opposed to a 15-year-old, opposed to a 20-year-old, opposed to a mid-30 in a corporate environment, opposed to perhaps grandparents.
Yes.
That's a skill which...
Yes, definitely. And I think for me, being in my age, which is mid-50s at this stage, I've got a lot of experiences, life experiences, especially with kids. Kids like in the different phases as well. But to get back to your question is that every person is in a specific phase in his life. And for me to identify that phase helps me to get you off quicker than normal. So the moment I work with someone that's only 10 years old, there's a complete different mind or there's like a different
Jy kan nou
approach.
Afrikaans praat, ek sal probeer verstaan.
So there's a different approach when you work with a 10-year-old versus
Yes.
a teenager.
Yes.
So teenagers is the most to break through, but the moment I done that breaking down and then start building up again, it is the biggest differences is with teenagers. It's interesting that because a teenager doesn't know who he is and what he wants. So the moment I try to influence him with the right tools, they adapt quicker than a person in his 30s or 40s will adapt.
So you have very specific tools that you use between
Definitely.
certain age groups and where they are in their life.
Definitely,
Okay,
yes.
so guide us through perhaps, Marlie, if you wouldn't mind. If a new client comes to you, let's perhaps begin at 10 years old.
Okay.
At a youngster, what is your, why and how do you do what you do between say 10 and say 14?
14, okay.
Yeah, or 50.
Yes.
Like in that, I'm sure there are moms, dads out there in the kids with that age group that perhaps they don't know how to speak in terms of the child's value and the child doesn't know how to communicate with the parents. For instance, the first consult, let's start there.
So
Guide us through it.
the first session normally takes a bit longer as well. With kids under the age of 14, 15, 16, normally I will get the parent in as well, either the mum or the dad or both of them. So the first session, they will sit in with us so that we can I want to get both sides of the story. So the mum will tell me something and I will ask the kids, do you confirm this? Is this how it is? And then ask questions to the kid and ask the mum, do you confirm? Is this what it is? So the first session with the mum or the dad is really to get into their reality. That's the most important part for me.
If I ask, how do you do that? That's so interesting. Tell us.
Background, definitely background. The mum or the dad, I need to know how was your background as a kid. Because 90% of the time, this is how you will...
Very interesting.
Yes, you will actually help your kid growing up, is what you had while you were a kid. Very little, there's people that break that chain of, no, that this is what was happening with me. I want the opposite for my children. So, but that's a very small percentage of people that's doing that. So for me to get the background, the reality of what's going on now in the house with the relationship between the parents. So obviously some of them, when I ask questions, so Mum, what do you say about your child? The child saying, and then they will disagree in front of me.
Okay, now we're getting into the trenches. Okay, so how do you deal with it? With conflict in a household, with a
so
10-year-old,
that is important.
12-year-old, 13-year-old, like 10 to 15. Can you give advice to a mom or dad or parents to that age group specifically?
Yes.
Of how to deal with conflicts?
So for me to listen to the disagreement in front of me between mum and child, it's not for me only, it's for them as well to hear it.
In other words, an outsider point of view, which is, I think, is extraordinary. But
it is extraordinary. It is like the
no
mum
emotion.
for the first time, is this really so? And then they start asking questions to each other. Yes, Mum, it is like this. You never do this and this and this and this. But I tried to do that and that. It's almost like if they miscommunicate all these years and all of a sudden they hear what is the differences the first time. That is what communication is all about. Communication is not just a two-direction message. It is making sure that the other person understands exactly what is the message I want to tell you. Do you understand it the way I want to tell it to you?
Do you have an example for us?
So let me use the example which I normally use in my practice, and that is that if I ask you, Warwick, do you want an apple? And you say, yes, that would be fine. So here I come and I cut up a green apple in slices, and you say, Marley, actually, I don't like green apples. Don't you have perhaps red apples? Exactly that. So I was asking apples.
You
So
weren't
the
specific
message is,
enough.
yes, I wasn't specific
Okay.
enough. So I was supposed to ask, listen, Warwick, I've got green apples in the kitchen. Can I bring you an apple and cut it up in slices? This is how the communication is supposed to work. Then you can make up your mind and say, oh, actually, I don't like green apples, and never mind, I don't even like them sliced up. I just want to eat my apple like this. So then you can answer, no, thank you, I prefer red apples. And that's important, that feedback. No, thank you, I prefer red apples. So it sends a message back to me. Don't ask Warwick again for a green apple, because in future he wants a red apple. It's a simple example, but you can just go and put it in your whole life. You communicate like this, even with relationships.
But that's hard though, because sometimes, especially a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, perhaps they don't know what they're feeling. In other words,
Yes.
I'm actually hungry. That's why I'm fighting with mommy or daddy, because I'm actually feeling sad or this. How do you help a young child communicate better to the parents and the parent better to the child? I suppose that was a lovely story, but are there specific tools that you use to help communicate better?
Yes, definitely. So it's all about confidence. So is the child confident enough to speak up against the parent? So like 30, 40, 50 years ago, we wasn't allowed to speak up. So most of the parents today, we still like in that mode of a child is in his place and it stays in his place, but things has changed. So we need to adopt new adult rules, and we will get to rules as well, because rules is very important. So the child needs to feel confident enough to speak up. All rules, all beliefs in the house, all values in the house, they need to question it, and obviously the parent need to answer it in a way that they still feel comfortable with what is going on in the house. So it is really about give and take. The child needs to speak up, but the parent is there to set the discipline in the house. And that is also important. So
I think you can say that
and
again.
you take. You
Discipline
give
in
and
the
you
house.
take.
Yeah. I came across, and it's a very true story, as a case study with a youngster, and in the first or second consult, very specifically, the instruction from your side was to have on a list in his bedroom the top 5 things to do. In other words, it gives him purpose. He knows there's no confusion. He knows exactly what to do when every day that is done. I think that like step 1 for a youngster at that age, even from maybe 6, 7, up. In other words, in my experience, it's these kids want to be challenged. They want purpose. They want, and if the parent is unclear, they can pick it up, and they're unclear. But if they've got their own little purpose, they must make their little sandwiches, and they must, pick up the doggy poop, and they've got their set criteria. It brings, I think, less energy or stress in the household if everyone plays their role. So I think it's fantastic being a life coach at such a young age. The big elephant in the room here is I think people do not know, respectfully, we're learning, we're all figuring out our stuff.
Yes, definitely.
But learning how to communicate better.
Yes.
And I think in a beautiful way in your profession, what you do, you help facilitate that. In other words, if you actually go with Johnny or Samantha and what have you, and hold a little hand or his hand and actually try and sift through the nonsense and actually what the child wants.
Yes.
And listening to the parents. And that is, I think, so beautiful. Would you like to touch more on that?
Yes, actually, I want to just highlight something, and that is that not only children, but even adults as
Yeah.
well, need something visual to see every day. We know what's right and wrong,
But sometimes we don't
but
act.
we forgot. And on a daily basis, we
Because there's so
forgot.
much information I think
Yes.
we're processing in this day
Yes,
and
there
age.
is just so much to process
Yeah.
through the day, and most of the time we in autopilot. You just wake up, you put lunch boxes, you go to work and school, and everybody's doing his own thing. You don't think about the smaller things that can make a big difference. So with children, definitely, if they cannot read, then obviously you put pictures on the wall to remind them this is what mommy is expecting from you, or the rules in the house. You put pictures on. When the child starts reading, you make sure that he can read it. Sometimes, even with my kids, I will tell them, you write the rule down in the house, not mommy. If you're like 10, 14 years old, normally my teenagers, I will say, you go and write down the rule. So then you make sure you make it your own. You understand the rule. You discuss it with mommy. Why exactly do you want me to be home before it's dark? I want to know that reason. Mommy, you can't just say, if it's 6 o'clock, you'll be home. Tell the kids why. Give them the information. So the same with adults. If we want to remember things that we tend to forget, put a sticky note up. I've got sticky notes all over my house. You can
Oh,
ask.
really?
Yes.
For you and
For
your kids?
me and my kids and my husband.
Oh, wow. In other words, reminders,
To remind
take
us.
out the trash and...
Not really the trashes. We
Oh.
can all see the trash. It's just a matter of who's going to take it out first. But
what sort of reminders? Like this
so-
week's your week cooking or what? I
so
mean, give us-
reminders
give us some
like
tips.
positive thinking.
Okay.
So I've got a very nice one up with a Mr. Bean sign next to it, because Mr. Bean, we all love Mr. Bean and his humor. So positive thinking, positive attitude. So when you walk out or in my house, that is the first sign you will
What
see.
does it say? Or is it just a picture of him?
It's just a picture of Mr.
Oh,
Bean smiling,
okay.
and then next to it, positive thinking, positive attitude. This is what we want in this house.
I think on Mr. Bean, which I find that's very interesting you use that, because Mr. Bean specifically uses comedy and the tragedy. So by looking at him, it's like sometimes life
Exactly.
is so serious.
Yes.
And sometimes it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
You know, so like when you think things are bad, they're not that bad. When you think things are good, they're not that good. Coming to your house priorities, and at a young age, wow. I mean, to have little pictures, you know, make your bed, brush your teeth, you know, go
Yes.
shower. Wow, it gives its purpose, its meaning.
Yes. And with kids as well, and especially with teenagers, I actually enforce to put a calendar up in their room somewhere, because they will say, yes, I will do that tomorrow, but we all forgot about it, and even the parents will forget about it. So there's no reminder of what needs to happen tomorrow, on Friday or on Sunday or whatever. So I really enforce them to put up a calendar in their rooms and to go, and they need to send me a picture. This is the homework that a typically life coach will give. This homework, I want to see your March calendar, and I want to see that you did right. This is exam, I need to prepare for this. I need to pick up doggy poo or
Like a checklist.
a checklist, but
Okay.
for the whole month.
Okay.
And that checklist can change. And I want them to complete it in different colors as well. So in their mind, when they see red, it's something academically, school-wise. When they see blue, it's fun and activities and hobbies. And when they see green, it's something for the house they need to do. So we just make it so easy for them to have fun in life.
I think just to elaborate on what you said, which I think is so powerful, is that with all the craziness in a household and all the busyness and the chaos, the perhaps what you've just said, one of the first things you address is to turn the chaos into order, is focusing on your highest priority action steps. From a 10-year-old, it's 5 things. Maybe a 15-year-old, maybe now we go month. Whereas a 10 or 11-year-old is maybe day to day or week to
Yes.
week, whereas
Very
a 15-year-old is month to month.
Yes.
Whereas perhaps someone more senior is maybe a year to, or 6 months to 6 months.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
more advanced, like 5 years. So
Yes.
those goals, I think, are so crucial. And I think that's what's so beautiful about your industry is that keeping people accountable. So
Yes.
coming in once a week when you're given a task and you kind of sit down with Mr. Van Wyk, and it's like, okay, we discussed this last week or 2 weeks ago. What was done? What wasn't done?
Definitely.
Being accountable in this day and age, I think, is so powerful. And it's
Yes.
with, come home, make dinner, go to bed. It's like we lose that, which,
Yes.
yeah, it's incredible. Accountability, I think, is how would you position accountability? How important do you think it is in your industry and with your clients?
Very, very important. Because normally when you get to a life coach, you sign a contract and you pay the person. So if you pay someone, you expect services back. So if I'm not going to keep you accountable for homework or changes that we put on paper, then what am I doing? It's the same with a personal trainer in the gym. You pay him to be able to build muscles. So after 3 months, if there's no muscles, then was it worthwhile? No, it wasn't. So for a life coach, I need to take you out of your comfort zone the whole time. It's exactly what I'm doing today. I'm giving myself of my own medicine today. So I need to take you out of your comfort zone the whole time. And one of the things that people always said is that I've got enough time. I've got enough time to change or to start a new relationship or whatever. That is the biggest mistake people can make is to think they've got time. We don't have time. So, and you will never be ready to make a change if you wait for that. So to make a change, you first need to act. And then you learn a lesson. You make mistakes. You grow. And then that motivates you to continue and get out of your comfort zone again. So typically with my clients, after every session, I will have homework. And it's nice homework. It's stuff like go and put up the calendars so that you can know exactly. Then you don't need surprises. In our modern days, you don't need surprises. We want to know exactly, this is how my week is going to be. And when there is a surprise, then you are covered to handle it with much more control than without the calendar. Because then everything is surprises. So homework is very important. As you said, with smaller kids, homework is 1 to 3 things max. Then with teenagers, you can go and say maybe a month. Let's do it on a monthly basis. But the feedback on homework is important because that is the progress of my client. And I need to keep them then accountable. So why did you struggle to do that specific homework? And then I will hear a different story, a new story.
And you push them gently back on path.
Push them gently back and say, okay, let's have a different approach. There's a different way that we can approach this. So this is really where a life coach comes in. When you think you are stuck or at a crossroad, this is where a life coach comes in.
I think we're chatting about accountability now, and a light went off. The first time we had an opportunity to chat, the day before, I think there was a miscommunication. I didn't even introduce myself yet, and right out in the first 40 seconds, you were, Warwick, I apologize. I was, this and this, and I couldn't get that.
Yes.
Like immediately, that gained trust for me to you. I'm like, wow. The accountability, I think, is so important, and it's very evident in your life. You're demonstrating it yourself. So,
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm a kind of person who you do it now. Yeah. Irony actually is that my children was in a primary school. It was actually a farm school, registered at the government, and they
A farm school.
a farm school in Muldersdrift.
Okay.
So it's still a farm school today, although they've got like 600-700 kids. It's still a farm school, and hulle lese was doen dit nou, and that stick to me. And I mean, my kids was there like 20 years ago. That still stick to me up till today, even with my husband. We will use it like on a weekly basis in the house. Doen dit now. Do it now. And I am a person like this. So if we want to do something, normally when you want to organize your closet or just reorganize your shoes, that's something you say, I'll do it on the weekend. I'll do it whenever, in my holidays. There's never time now to do it, where I'm different. If you mention to me, I want to organize my closet, I will say, let's do it now. And that is a very positive impact on my whole family, because I'm a do-it-now person, and they know that. So sometimes my kids will say, I want to do it, but not now, Mum. So they know I am going to kick it in and do it now. And this is the mentality we need to build within everybody. Do it now. Why do you want to do it later?
I think perhaps one of the things that may prevent people from doing it now is perhaps they don't have the strategy or the right goals, realistic goals. Because, I mean, if you want to, jump off a mountain and fly, that's unrealistic. But if you have a goal specifically to you, your age demographic, where you are in your life, if you're in corporate, you want to go entrepreneur, or you're entrepreneur, you want to go corporate. It's very specific, having perhaps weekly, realistic goals that when you achieve it.
Yes.
And I think, again, just to reiterate what you mentioned earlier, the beauty of being accountable and helping people set realistic goals, because when you achieve it, you go, wow, if I can do that, then I can do this and this, So,
yes, and just let me define a goal as well. So a goal, and it's the same with rules as well. I need to tell you about rules in our lives. It's very, very interesting. So goals really needs to be very easy, highly flexible, and it must empower you. That is the 3 things that needs to be built into a goal. And the same with a rule in your life. So if it's not easy, you're not going to complete it. If it's not flexible, you're not going to achieve your goal. And if it's not empowering you, you're going to lose motivation.
I think further to what you just said, just to elaborate on that, it's something that just pushes you. You're in your comfort zone,
yes.
But like going to gym, you've never been into gym or exercise or gone to yoga or yoga class. It's comfort zone, but just that goal. So like any advice on setting goals? I suppose it depends on the individual's age.
Yeah,
and where they are in their life.
Definitely. So generally speaking.
Well, let's go for youngsters. Like from the 10 years old to the 15 year olds. Let's,
Yeah, so that age group is under so much pressure these days.
Yeah, give us some tips for that age group of kids.
Actually, in my practice, I will see young boys in tears in front of me, just by releasing the stress and to hear what is bothering them.
And tell us, what are these kids at that age?
A typical example, which I had to deal with like last year, was a boy who told me, I'm not in the popular group. And I was asking, why do you want to be in the popular group? And so he said, yeah, but everybody is looking up to the popular group. So, and I asked him, who is in the popular group? And he will say, the rugby players. So there's a misconception, I want to say, with young people with regards to, and specifically rugby. He is playing hockey for the first team. He's playing cricket for the first team, but it is not popular enough to be happy at school because he's not in the rugby team.
But then you get children that are great at music or someone or dancing or playing the piano or art or I mean, it's not from A to Z. Everyone wants to play rugby. Everyone
Yes.
wants to play tennis or squash. Or so. I think it's just finding your thing.
Yes, the reality. So immediately I will take them back to reality. Your reality is different from the next person's reality. So to be in that space, you need to be authentically yourself. Build what is your gifts and your talent and ignore the rest. The moment your focus is on yourself, you become happy. And that is how I deal with teenagers. So that bubble of being in the popular group in school is just a phase. It's going to be 1 year, maybe 2 years, then it's gone. So then I want to ask you, who's playing cricket and hockey and netball and athletics and whatever, what did you build on to become more authentically after school? School is just a phase. I want to tell all teenagers, school is just a phase. Just work through it.
And
it's like in Afrikaans, you say, ry net die golf uit. But
ride the wave
stay
out.
committed to yourself. Because you are a person with gifts and talent and you need to build it. Because later on you're going to use these talents. So don't focus on someone else. Focus on yourself. And immediately that make a change.
Marlie, tell us why you came up with the name In Balance Coaching and what does it mean to you? What's the background there?
Yes, so when I decided to submit a business plan to Planet Fitness, I, for the first time, had to think about a name, a brand for my business. And I really wanted it to present myself, to be something of myself in my business brand. And that is how I got to In Balance. In Balance for me is when your mind is positive. So as long as I know, I'm a very positive person and I'm a strong person and I'm in control of myself. So for that is my mind is positive. For me to be in a good physical health, it's also important. So that is where the well-being part is coming from. And then having the mind and the body working together, that is where the spirit is coming from. So my happiness is because I'm positive, I feel good about myself, and that makes me happy. And In Balance for me is when those three is working together.
And in your business, you've got like scientific systems in place. So when people come visit you, you know how to take from journey A, take them through the process. As a case study, would you mind sharing with one of your clients over many, many years of doing this, of perhaps when somebody came to you where they were and the transition of, was it a 6 month, a year? Like, tell us as a case study, as an example.
Okay, I would love to use actually one of my very first clients when I was still a trainee life coach.
Which apparently you did 50 hours of
50.
free, just to case study to learn.
Yes.
Okay, before you started your business.
And he actually signed up for doing trainee life coaching sessions. So we were on the website of this New Insight company, and then everybody can just contact you and to get your 50 hours of sessions. So this guy was actually 52 at the time, someone from the UK.
Okay.
So the sessions was online, which was a challenge in the beginning, because for me to do a one-on-one, obviously it's what I prefer. But to do online sessions in 2020 was a challenge. I had this guy from the UK, he was 52 years, just went through a divorce. The fights was still vivid in his mind and very present. His daughter of 16 years decided to just write him off. So he was with me and said, I don't know what to do. I don't feel good about myself. I don't have money. I don't have a work. I've got nothing, and I need to listen.
So that's
to
how
it.
when you
This is when he approached me in
Okay.
that situation.
Okay.
So we started, and I must now really compliment the life coaching tools that was presented to me during that time, because I used all of them. First of all,
Which you still use to this
which
day.
I'm still using up till today.
Okay.
So yes, we had our first session, and it was quite emotionally, because he hearing himself out loud saying that he is now lost. He's at this crossroad and he doesn't know which way to go. So for me, the starting point was just to act, just to go in any direction, because you don't know which way to go. The best way is just to go in any direction. In life coaching, there is nothing like it's right or wrong. So people need to, that's a very good tool to know. There isn't something that's correct or incorrect. It is what works for you. So that was kind of...
Which makes things rather interesting, doesn't
very
it? Because you
interesting.
can't apply one tool, like if you know how to use
Exactly.
one hammer, you can't, do you know what I mean? But
Yes.
it's like,
And clients
Yeah,
normally
share
will
that.
tell me, a normal person will do this and this and this. And I will ask you, what is a normal person? There is not such thing as a normal person these days. There is individuals.
fingerprint specific,
Fingerprint specific.
unique value systems.
So don't compare yourself to normal. What is normal these days? So with him it was actually nice, because he was open for anything.
Change. Oh.
He was open for
So
change.
take us through it. Like what happened?
So yeah, we started off with trying a lot of new things, reading. He had to go and read a lot of things. There's a lot of beautiful books on the market these days, like Mel Robbins. I mean, just let them is one good example. Another one which I recommend to my clients to read as well is Surrounded by Idiots. I think it's
Interesting,
Thomas Jenkins or something like that. That is just to put yourself in a group. It's good to start with yourself. When you need change, start with yourself.
Further to those books you read, what resonated when I actually went to the UK many, many years ago, I came across Tony Robbins, a specific book. It was a blue book. And I remember going to work down Oxford Street, and in the mornings, I would be reading, and that was probably the first book I read cover to cover. I don't even think I read a school book cover to, but I was so blown away by somebody having the ability to actually share every paragraph was wow. So we're not taught these tools at school.
No, we're not.
So
I so wish we were.
It's rather interesting. We don't you think?
Yeah, so we started off with a lot of reading. So he had to go and to read. Luckily, he liked it to read. So he was reading a lot of books. And I started with exercises as well. I said, you need to get out in nature. Nature is, it's such a gelijkmaker in life.
In other words, if you're highly stressed, that's one of your top tips?
Yes.
Go in nature.
Yes. So reading, beautiful. Walking, and listening to music.
Okay.
Those three things is normally when I get a client and he's completely stuck at the moment. That's the three things. And then the homework will be, I need feedback on this book or what you have read. I want to know what exactly in nature that you picked up, like trees, smells, flowers, birds.
What they were thinking about.
Yes, you're thinking. And music. Go and listen to music. So again, those three things is in balance. If you look at it, it's in balance, life coaching.
Okay.
So that's why it's so important to me to have that name, because again, it's mind and body and spirit that needs to get together. So yeah, after I was actually having sessions with him on a weekly basis for months. And So with time, I just pushed him out of his comfort zone the whole time. He was involved with charity work. So for free, he was offering his own time, and that changed his perception of who he is. Just to be able to give back. You don't need to give money or something.
Just being of service
physically.
to somebody.
Just give your time and yourself. That is healing you inside. So yeah, that was the starting point. And I mean, after a year, 2 years, he was still with me. And he always said, Marlie, once a month, I want to see you once a month, just to kick my ass. That's it.
Oh,
Just to kick my ass.
And to this day, is he still?
He's not still with me with coaching.
Well, this was 6 years ago.
Yeah,
So, okay.
but I mean, we still got contact. And obviously, he's a good dancer these days. Why?
Oh, okay.
Because he started exercising. He was losing, I think up till today, like something like 20 or 30 kilograms he lost.
Okay.
Since we started.
Tell me, in your experience and just in the life coaching industry, what would you say are the top, say, 2 or 3 challenges that people face in the family dynamic, families with kids in this day and age? In your experience, what are they, and what advice could you give folks and parents out there?
Okay. So yeah, I think the biggest challenge is the pressure out there.
Depression.
Yeah, the pressure.
The pressure.
Yes,
Oh, right.
the pressure
Okay.
of social media.
Wow.
That's number one.
Okay.
For sure, number one. And I'm talking about now more than my high school kids' family situations. It's definitely social media.
When you say pressure, what do you mean, Marlie?
Pressure is that they want to be the person.
Like Instagram,
The
oh, look
Instagram.
at me with my fancy
They want
car,
to be
house.
the Instagram person.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, and they cannot living up that
But I think
standard.
at a younger dynamic that applies.
Definitely.
But perhaps when we get older, like you
Yes.
start realizing those things are not important in this day and age.
Exactly, yeah. So, and obviously, alcohol is a huge factor, and smoking, vape.
Okay.
So, most parents got the rule in the house: no alcohol, no smoking.
And social media, I suppose parents perhaps could say between these hours, or opposed to, because I mean,
Yes.
as you like, I'm sure you've come across, I certainly have. I mean, a child can spend 8, 10, 15 hours behind a screen and quickly go to the loo and straight. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is.
So,
It is. So there's definitely
how do you manage that? How do you manage that in a household?
So definitely the rules in the house is important, and we mentioned rules.
Yeah.
Rules in the house also needs to be those 3 things.
Are rules rewarded? In other words, you're not allowed to play on your screen, but if you don't do this for a week, then you get a sweetie.
Yes,
or
exactly.
So it's a reward system.
And rewards.
Okay.
We call it rules and rewards.
Okay.
So rules, obviously, those 3 things. It needs to be easy, flexible, and empowered. So when I say empowered, it needs to work for both the parent and the kids. Not just a rule, explain the rule to the kids. And make it flexible so that if there is like a once off, okay, I need to come back only at 10 tonight because my transport is working for so-and-so reason, then the parent can accept that. That's where flexibility comes in. The rules is there to safeguard the family.
A guideline,
It's a guideline. So,
map?
A map. So discipline is where we struggle these days.
Why do you think that is? Because it's hard, because
It's hard.
no one likes to go to gym, no one likes to pick up the doggy poop, no one likes
Yes.
to cook, clean, stand in traffic.
Yes,
Okay,
it's hard
so
work.
yeah.
Discipline is hard work. And if you don't teach your children discipline, they will never be able to work hard even when they're not in the house one day. So discipline is very important, and I cannot, cut this. So discipline is very important, and I want parents to commit to discipline. You cannot be your child's best friend. Stop that immediately.
Very interesting.
You can never
Why is that?
be your child's best friend, because then
They'll
there's
walk all
no
over
respect.
you. Wow.
Then you
Interesting.
lose respect.
So it's that fine line of support and challenge. Like think of a diamond, like heavy pressure, but nurtured in the right environment.
Yes.
It forms something magical, something beautiful. So
It's okay to do things together. Like me and my daughter. We go shopping together. We're going for coffee together. We're coming to the gym together. We do things together because it's nice to be with each other.
Okay.
But still,
where do you draw the line, Marlie? Because that's a beautiful thing you mentioned now, is that not being the child's best friend. In other words, always trying to be Mr. or Mrs. Nice Guy, and you
Yes.
always give the sweeties, and you always, it's kind of, how do you balance that between when the awkward or tough conversations need to be completed, and there's also nice, like like going with your daughter, for instance, how do you balance that when, give us some tips.
So children need to respect their parents. They are the providers. But then turning it around, there needs to be a blueprint of values in the house. And that is set by the parents. So that blueprint, even today, the only thing what I can leave behind for my kids these days is the blueprint that was in the house. The values, the rules, the discipline, but most
Are
importantly...
you talking about family values, like manners, say thank you, please?
We're working together. You take control of your room. Okay. I don't want to pick up... Nobody picks up clothes from the floor. Nobody. Even with a domestic worker in the house, it's not her job to pick up clothes. That was my rule in the house. So, and it's not even her job to make your bed. You can make your own bed, you pick up your own clothes, she can do the rest. So that's plain, simple rules up till today. My son is 23, my daughter turning 19, they still do that. In their own places, at my home. And it's like blueprint. It can never change.
I think what's absolutely beautiful about that scenario is that if everybody has their own tasks in the house and everyone does it, it just works. The energy in the house is lighter because there's no one that, this and this hasn't been done, and this one gets upset with this one, and this. So if everyone's crystal clear, which I think is one of the challenges, is that firstly, if you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. So if there's no rules in the house, how can you get upset with somebody because it wasn't clear? So
yes, definitely. And let me just get to this point of pets in the house.
Oh, yes.
So pets in the house normally gets to conflict. It started off very well. Everybody
it's the
is
cute
like,
little kitty or the doggy.
Cute little puppy and kitten and bird and fish and whatever you've got. So everybody is still excited in the beginning, and then whose responsibility it becomes. It's most of the time either the parents or the gardener or the domestic worker. And there I draw a very, very thick line. Even in my house it was the case. I said we can have pets, but you're going to take full responsibility for it. So, and that is daily. Pets is like a kid in home. It needs daily maintenance. So,
which I don't think one realizes at the time.
You don't.
You just see, cuckoo, little puppy.
You don't, but definitely. You don't. And we all know how it goes. It's funny and it's fun in the beginning. And then the pet is just on his own for the rest of the time. So to me, then that is where discipline comes in. Mums and dads need to stick to that rule. You take care of this kitten. You replace the sandbag or sand bowl. So that needs to stay like that forever. Because how are you going to teach your children to be disciplined when they're not in your house? So my son challenged me on this one. He would always say, but if I'm alone, I know I had to do it. So why, if we've got a domestic worker, why can't she make my bed? That was the challenges. So there I had to stand very strong and said, it is nobody's job to make your bed. You make it yourself. It's a respect you've got for yourself. Explain the rule again. Don't just say, you will make your bed and finish and klar. Explain why you want him to make his bed.
I think to go, in my experience that I came across many years ago, the significance, like nobody wants to make the bed. Nobody wants to pick up the doggy poop. Nobody wants to clean the dishes. But what is a reward from that is if that, by doing so, like making your bed, after the end of the day, that's one task. At the end of the day, if you've got 128 task ticked, you did this email, you phoned this person, you followed up with this, this and this. It's a sense of, it perhaps strengthens your self-worth.
Yes.
Opposed to just lying flat, eating KFC 5 times a day, watching Netflix. There's no sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
So just having a little checklist, I think there's something there. Like, I mean, if, think of perhaps Elon Musk going to Mars, or an astronaut, or a pilot in an airplane. I mean, they've been flying for years and years and years. They have a little checklist. Is this checked? This dial? This.
Still.
So every day, I guess that story resonated with me, the importance of it.
Yes, definitely.
So it's not
and
all,
how to learn your children to take responsibility. That is very important. It's from a young age, you can learn your children how to take responsibility. It's not something for later.
And it's not all doom and gloom. There's rewards. Like, by doing it, it's, at the time, you might not think so, but, like for the first time, you've never walked in a gym at the age of 30.
Yes.
No one, like the first 3-4 weeks is terrible.
It is.
I mean, for somebody newbie, he's probably like, why am I going to gym? But then, week 6 and 7, it's like you start feeling lighter. Your energy comes up. You want to eat better. You don't want fatty foods, or because you can, that's when the benefit comes.
Definitely, yeah. And there's a tool in life coaching that we use to actually embrace that, is to look in the mirror. To see yourself in the mirror is very important. So, and now next time when you look in the mirror, now you will think of it differently, because when you look in the mirror and you are, say for instance, overweight and not fit, you look and you see, well, I don't like this picture. I don't like this image of myself. So again, it's the mind. That the first thing you exercise is your mind. I don't like this. Or the opposite. If you're well built, like you, Warwick, if you look in the mirror, you say, well, I like what I see. Again.
I still don't. After 30 years of doing it, and you're so fit, Marlie. It's a constant journey. It's a lifelong journey in different areas of life. And
so again, you start with your mind. Look in the mirror and recognize the first thing that you think. Is it positive or is it negative? And you can change that. You can change that by act. Just act.
Goals, purpose, mapping life.
Go and walk around the block every afternoon. After 3 weeks, you will see a different image. And that action will motivate you to be consistent if you like the image.
I think from your side, that's a skill you've obviously developed.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
You know that, I mean, it's pointless taking somebody who's just, divorced, doesn't know what to do, and telling this person, no, career change. And in other words, it's step-by-step, realistic goals kind of, and that's, I think, so, again, I reiterate, I think it's very significant of helping people transition, whether kids or wherever, especially with this changing day and age that we're living in now. It's happening very quickly.
Yes.
So,
we in life coaching, again, sorry for referring the whole time back to life coaching, but there's a change cycle. So we use the change cycle to show you where did you start and where you're going. So the change cycle is actually where you recognize that I've got an issue, I'm at the crossroad and I want to change something. And then you move around and then change something and doesn't work. Then there's a regression. You go back because not everything is going to work for the first time. That's where the life coach comes in. I will tell you there's going to be a lot of surprises on the way. So don't be surprised if there is a little bit of fallback or a regression. So, but in life coaching, this change cycle is like a spring going up. And you will never be at the bottom ever again if you start changing your life. Never. You will go up and up and up. You will slip down one or twice, go up again, slip for your whole life. You're going to grow through it. So every time when I deal with my clients and it's about growing and changing, then I will tell them, please think of life as I'm not going through life. I want to grow through life.
Which in nature, life, transition,
exactly.
It's like...
So don't think about
constant...
change needs to be instant.
Yeah.
It is not. Your reality tells you it is never going to be within 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. Think of it as a long-term plan and being consistent, and then you see the changes.
I think that reminds me of that beautiful story with the tortoise and the rabbit, where the tortoise is just slowly going towards us.
Exactly.
And the rabbit's going up and down
Up
and this
and
and then at the end, forgive me, but I think the tortoise wins because the rabbit doesn't have direction.
Yes,
and
no plan.
Yeah.
And in life coaching, plan is very, very important.
And to actually have it in front of...
Yes, again.
Knowing this is you, that like, wow, you know,
So you need a plan. We're very big on plans. So with all my clients, I will have a plan in place. And it's a custom-made plan. It's not a plan that's in a book or you can Google and this plan just works for everybody. It's a plan for you.
So whether you're a mom, newly born, it's very specific.
Exactly.
So
it's
I
very
think that's
specific.
Fantastic. Eh?
It is not a plan that you just can take from Google and try it out. It's a plan for your life, your reality, your circumstances, and then with the built-in of surprises and changes. So the plan also needs to be flexible.
Marlie, I've got a very good question. Talking about authenticity and the importance thereof. What, in your experience, blocks people most from being authentic?
Yes, that's a very good question, Warwick, because I think every person has got that issue to deal with on a daily basis. And that is that we as human beings are so very afraid of making mistakes.
That's very interesting. In other words, one of the biggest reasons why people are not authentic is fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. Yes. Interesting.
So we've got this picture that we need to be perfect all the time. And this is coming from...
Which is not easy because we all want to, look good. But the reality is we're nice and mean and we're good and bad and we are perfect and we are completely imperfect.
Absolutely. And this whole thing actually comes to your whole life. As a child, your mum will say, stand upright and face the auntie, greet this lady, do it like this and this and this. So it started off in the house with parents, and then it rolls over to teachers. Teachers want you to do oral, and you need to be perfect.
Before you go on, just to quickly come back a bit. So I love the idea you started in the family dynamic. Does that mean as in from manners, as in saying please, thank you, being kind, knowing how to express yourself? Starting the sentence with I feel, is that what you're referring to? In the process of being authentic, like at a very basic level.
So the mom just wants to be very proud on this little girl of her. So she needs to present her in a way that it makes the mums happy.
Which is values, kindness, manners.
Yes.
Okay.
All those values.
And you mentioned then it goes to teachers.
Then it goes to school.
Okay.
And then you need to be perfect in school. So to be, again, in the popular group, they expect you to be perfect in everything. You look perfect, you are very clever, you're good in sports, you're good in culture, everything. So the whole picture of being perfect is abnormal.
Look, I think that You're referring to being at school, and I'm thinking, okay, being authentic at school. Let's take, for an example, a child, for whatever reason, is very good with maths. This particular example. Johnny, at the age of 10, is good with maths. But then he goes to school, and then other kids, they attention deficit, they don't listen in maths class, where he's highly attentive, wants to focus on maths. But now, I guess that's peer pressure. In other words, I guess that's where you come in with the skills and how to help, whether a child, teenager, going older, as to taking on the pain and ridicule in pursuit of what's important to you, which by itself is being authentic. In an example, was that individual wanted to do maths.
Yes.
So the more you want to do something, the more pain and ridicule, or praise and reprimand, you're going to face. So
you're going to face that, yes. And we do get that a lot. And even out of my own experience, I had a child which was very good at maths, still is, and he was a chess player.
Okay.
So being a chess player,
it's a lovely
and
game.
not a rugby player, there's
interesting.
like a huge gap between these two groups of kids at school. So
how did you manage that? I mean, whether it's chess or a music instrument, it's different.
Yes, up to the age of grade 5, which is 10 years old, I think. It was still easy because a child then tend to be more authentically the whole time. They don't know that they can be someone different. So up to the age of 10, it's still easy. So then from grade 6 and 7, I heard him telling me, Mum, it's no longer cool to be clever. And it was a shock on my system. I mean, everybody just wants to be clever. How can he say, Mum, I'm a nerd. It's not cool to be clever anymore. And for me to fix that and tell him, listen, you need to live your own life. And you can do anything you want. Then at that age, I decided, let's do more individual sports. So like swimming and chess, he was playing chess and cricket. So that's more individual, but still in a group verband. So then he feels he's part of a group, but he's performing on an individual level. So this is how you cover the gap between kids that is completely isolated because of a gift versus kids that's more out there, extrovert, having fun, everybody's pal. There's a gap between the two, and to fill that gap is to focus on the child and his reality again. Because all the kids in the other group, they want to be the clever one, but they will never say that because they are fun enough to have a lot of friends. But then on the other side, the more nerdy kids, they really struggle. They really struggle at school to be part of something. So they just want to be acknowledged. So give them something where they get acknowledgement. And that's not in school or in a group, but in individual sports.
I think you gave a great example now of being completely isolated to perhaps doing some sport. I think the complete reverse of isolated is perhaps a child or even an adult that wants to take on too much, play all the sports, play all the activities, and eventually you don't get good at anything. So rather, perhaps, choose one or two and stick with it and then decide, do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly. And then again, with the parents, I will tell them, let your kids try everything up to a certain age. Give them the scope to try whatever they need to try. Because how will they know I'm good in tennis if I never tried tennis? So give them the scope to try everything, but up to a certain age. And then you decide as a parent, enough is enough. I could notice my child is better in 1, 2, 3 activities. Let's focus in that direction. That's where the parent come in and take control. It's still a kid. The parent needs to take control, not other way around. Again,
Can you give some tips for parents? Practical 2, 3, 4 things. One of them, and please reiterate on it, is giving your child a little mission statement, even if it's 5 bullet points or 5 pictures. Or can you give us?
Yes.
Would you mind sharing some tips?
So
for
obviously
parents?
that is something that will build on for years now. You know
Sure.
your child since
It's a refining
birth.
process.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you will know my child's more introvert versus more extrovert.
Okay.
He likes to be in a group situation or rather be on his own. So obviously that you need to know as a background. Now, even in my case, I know my child was more like an individual person, but I want him to give him the exposure to be in a group. Because for somewhere in your life, you are going to be in a group and you're going to need to work together with different personalities. So don't exclude them completely from that, but give them other things to focus on. So yes, the parent needs to take a stand at some stage and decided, listen, you try tennis, it's 50-50. You try cricket, you like it, but the games is too long. You complain when we get home at 7 o'clock at evening. Do you really want to do it? Yes or no? We can move on. So you need and just tick the list. This is what we did and try, and this is how you feel about it. You get the input from the child, and then you tick the list off. If nothing is left, it means you need to try something new. Don't think because there's 1 or 2 left on the list, we need to stick to that. No, completely try something new. And that is exactly what happens with kids 16 years old. Most of my clients, all children, in grade 10, the age of 16, they will change in personality. And I'm telling my clients that. And
you've picked this up?
And I picked it up
in that
all
age,
over the scope.
I can resonate. At standard 8, I went from fishing to all of a sudden I discovered the lady species, and then it was clubs and social and so interesting. Eh?
So grade 10, 16 years old is a big year. So for parents and for children, I will tell them, expect some changes.
Okay.
It's not because your child's lazy or not interested. There's hormones involved now. So there's changes. So either the parents and the children must be aware that we try everything, and grade 8 and 9, we just tolerate what we are building on in primary school. Grade 8 and 9, you tolerate. And then in grade 10, you realize, I'm not interested in tennis anymore. I don't know what I want, but it's not tennis. And then the parents doesn't know, and everybody is like, whoa, what? Then there's so conflict in the family because the parents, and I'm speaking from experience, we pay a lot of money, we invest a lot of time in our kids' activities. And it's not cheap these days. It takes up a lot of time. You need equipment, it's bats and it's bags,
traffic and
it's
rerouting.
Traffic and
but time.
We invest in our
big
kids.
Thing.
So now for someone in grade 9 to tell the parent, I'm no longer going to play cricket anymore, that's a shock on the system. So I prepare my clients for that. And then it's like, okay, we expected that, and it's happening now. So you need to change your mind, change direction, because that child is changing now. So, and that is the chameleon phase. Now, that's the second phase of a person. First one is the explorer, and then the teenagers are the chameleons. So the chameleons are figuring out what are they, what do they want to do, who they are. So you need, as a parent, to be aware of that phase. And we forgot it because we were there ourselves.
Yeah.
But we just forget.
It's kind of giving that space, kind of not being too hard and knowing that figuring stuff out, but it's still having rules in place, as you mentioned.
Yes. So the whole thing is everybody is growing.
Yeah. It's an ongoing life journey of redefining.
So accept everybody's change.
Yeah.
at the time that it is changing. So, and that is one thing I want to just talk a bit about, is that we need to accept that people are in different phases of our lives.
You were mentioning different
Yes.
phases. Please carry on. You said chameleon. Oh, sorry, the explorer, chameleon.
Yes.
What age is...
So we normally break it up in 10 years. It can be like 1 to 8 years also, but from birth until 10 years old, you explore.
Okay.
So you are the explorer.
Sure.
You're not afraid of anything. You're not ashamed of who you are or what you do or how you look. You have just fun and you just explore. And you test all the boundaries.
And boy, do they test, and
so
myself
nice.
included.
I wish I can just go back to that phase and remember, because we tend not to remember that lovely phase of being an explorer.
It's a wonderful way to summarize that decade. But yes, the next one, yeah.
So the next 10 years is the 10 to 20s, the teen years. So that is a challenge for most people. And that is because the teenagers, the chameleons,
Rebel.
they don't know who
You
they
won't
are.
do this, so they do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they test the boundaries the whole time. Where the explorer works within the boundaries, the teenager tests the boundaries. And they're figuring out what is it, what they like. So for 10 years, you're going to sit in that phase. And it's okay, because you want them to sort them out while they are under your control. Give them the space to do it. And there's a lot of conflict because parents forget that that is an official phase. Then we've got the 20 to 30s. That's very interesting. And I'm in my son is 23, so I'm in that phase.
And what's that phase called?
The self-centered phase.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
The self-centered phase. So it's all about me first, me alone. What can I get out of this? And it's not about people around me, it's about me.
Very interesting, yeah.
And it's important. It's an important phase. They need to go through that phase. Can you remember when you were in your 20s?
Smack on. And the fact that you're saying this in a beautiful way to summarize these decades the way it is, wow. Because I've kind of got a good idea what the next phase is, but please do share, Marlie. What?
Okay.
Yeah.
So then after the self-centered phase, you get
This
to
is
that
30 to 40.
30 to 40
Okay.
is where you kind of settled into your career.
And you start realizing it's not about you, it's about serving other people.
So then you are in the hamster phase.
Okay.
The hamster running on the wheel the whole time.
Okay.
You're just building your career. You're on autopilot the whole time. You just go. You're chasing promotions and
Job titles and the latest car and cell phone.
Exactly.
And, okay.
You're just chasing life.
From 30 to 40.
From 30 to 40.
Okay. The hamster phase. Interesting.
The hamster phase.
Okay.
So then the 40 to 50
Yeah.
is the phase where people start asking questions. So we call it the question phase.
Okay.
So you will sit back one day.
Isn't that rather interesting, Marlie? It's like I've got very specific questions.
I know.
And here I am at 45. So you like, wow, hey? Very interesting.
Is this my life?
Very interesting.
Is this
Oh.
as good as it can get? How did I come here? How did I even change the way I am? My family, everything, your relationship with your wife.
Start questioning your personal life, everything you're doing, because you're realizing,
You just start questioning everything.
Spot on.
Is this it?
Yeah.
It's not the fairy tale that I had in mind, but this is it. So that's the question phase. It's also the very dangerous phase for divorces. Because you start asking questions.
Life crises,
start.
High pressure, high volatility, quick decisions based on, instead of short-term gratification costs your life, where long-term vision builds it. So you start, making quick decisions based on irrational emotions or no goals in place.
Exactly. And on top of that phase, most people in that phase got teenagers as well. So do you see these two phases
No
absolutely
wonder there's
in
some
conflict?
speed
Yes.
bumps in a family dynamic.
Yes.
But just knowing that, being consciously
Yes.
aware of that, wow, let's begin there
Exactly.
and get better. And
Yes.
that's where you come in. With,
Yes.
Okay.
This is where life coaching is coming in.
Okay.
Make you aware of where you are
And
in
how
life.
to solve it in the
And
most
how
effective
to
way.
deal with the other phases.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the last phase, which is 50 onwards, is where you begin living a life of purpose. So this is where you would start, it's important to give back, to leave a legacy. It's not about promotions anymore. I don't want to win a medal at my age. I don't want to be a winner in anything anymore. I just want to give back these days. And that is where you get the purposeful life. And that is from 50 onwards until the end.
I think on that note, you made me think of something significant that I learned many years ago, which is at the time maybe that you don't feel like going next door, helping the neighbors, or phoning somebody that you just want to say thank you for doing this for my life, or I appreciate you, or being kind to somebody, or giving somebody a gift. These acts of kindness, if you will, I think some people are naive because in that 30 to 40 you mentioned it's the self.
What's 30 to 40 is the question. No, the hamster, sorry.
Yes, but it's self-serving. The
20 to 30 is self-centered.
Self-centered. In other words, in the self-centered mindset, you don't want to tell somebody else, say, thank you for doing this, or you're kind, or give someone something. But the interesting thing about those quality human traits that we have is that if you give somebody something that makes their life better, or puts a smile in, genuine smile, not giving someone something that you think they'll like, but something that will uplift them. There's something that within yourself, it's a healing. In other words, to say thank you and appreciate, or to give someone, not only heals you, it heals them.
Absolutely.
And they want to do the same. In other words, we're getting older, it's about serving other people, and it's as a byproduct, it heals yourself. So you want to help more people,
That is what life is all about, is to give to other people, because you will get more back. And it heals your inner strength. In life coaching, that is where the spirit and the happiness is. The mind, the body, beautiful. The spirit is when you give something, you heal yourself. And that is why we are supposed to be on earth, is to be here for other people. But unfortunately, we only get to that stage at the age of 50 plus.
I hear you. Also, talking about this, also, I think something significant that I realized, in my opinion, a lot of people may give something with an subconsciously.
Yes,
it's like, here, Johnny, Sally, here's a chocolate, and forget about it. And 2-3 days, or a week later, or 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, that's a terrible person because I just give them all the time. And so in actuality, but there's a difference between giving someone something without an expectation of having something in return. Absolutely. That is pure giving. As in, from your sacred core, you're giving and not expecting anything in return. But if you're giving somebody something in order to, subconsciously you're thinking, you want this deal, or this or that, or there's a vast difference. I think, just to clarify that, would you agree?
Yes, definitely. And good examples of that in the reality is that we give something to expect a favor back from the person.
And you don't even verbally say it. You just expect it.
You just expect it. And then the person doesn't return the favor. And instead of healing, it's breaking you.
Anger, fear, betrayal.
So that's anxiety, negative energy. That is a waste of time.
Yeah. So rather don't give in that case.
Don't give if you don't want to give it out of your heart.
And expect nothing in
return.
return.
No expectations in return.
Wow. As a reminder, I think that's a beautiful lesson to all of us. It's
definitely. And I just want to add one thing, is that every single morning I ask myself one question, And this also is life coaching. It's a tool from life coaching. And it changed my life since I started with life coaching. One question. You need to ask yourself one question. What am I going to do today that is going to be meaningful?
Sorry, what am I going to do today to?
That will be meaningful.
Okay.
Not to prove yourself or to put you out or to get a thank you. Again, it's where purpose coming in. What am I going to do today that is going to be meaningful? It's going to make a difference in someone else's life. Not in my life.
Even just
someone
one
else's
thing,
life.
one act of
One good
even
act
saying
a
thank
day.
you to this person or saying something nice to this person, like just going out your way once. I think that's a beautiful
So that's
thing,
my daily goal.
Yeah. Okay.
My daily
I'm sure
goal,
you've got lots of goals, but
I've got lots of goals, but that is definitely one. When I walked out of my house, I want to make a difference in at least one person a day.
Wow,
At least one person
that
a
is
day.
beautiful.
And it's so easy. If you focused on that, it's so easy to do that. Just to remember a name of a security guard or someone that serves you in a restaurant. Just to repeat that name and say, thank you, Maria, we really appreciate the service was good. Not just thank you, but thank you and name the name. That small act, acknowledge that person, acknowledge my existence. That's what people want. They want their existence to be acknowledged by people.
Something I like to ask with your question reminded me of mine, is that what worked today and what didn't, and how can I be more effective and efficient tomorrow at doing that?
Yes.
And I think over time, one starts realizing, like, if you perhaps think of a single mom or a mom or its dad or what have you, in the beginning, I mean, I don't think anyone knows what the hell they're doing, but eventually, maybe the plate's there and the food's there and this, whereas within 2 or 3 days, it's like zoop, everything is this cupboard, fridge there. In other words, you get more effective and efficient at very specific things to get it done quicker and faster.
Yes, definitely.
So,
Yeah, you definitely become more effective if you've got a plan for the day. So to plan, life coaching, another tool. If you don't plan, you plan to fail. Or you are planning to fail. So to have a plan, not only for today, but for the week.
And the month and the year.
For the month and the year, it is crucial for happiness and success. Crucial. And I specifically said happiness because we want to be happy. I mean, we are in a career. Sometimes we are stuck in a career. We cannot get out of that. But then focus on things that will make you happy while you're there. Plan your day and maybe use some extra time to explore something new that will make you happy. Don't feel I'm here, I'm stuck, that's the end of the world. Just get something new. Even if it's,
the first thing I'm thinking about, Marlie, is, think of a normal, busy, corporate going mom or dad. In that, perhaps they want change, but because it's traffic, homework, like school kids, the normal routine, perhaps that hour forces an individual to, and you ask the right questions in order to get the right answer going, what is your roadmap? Cool, you're in this business, enterprise, company, you're in this situation, this kaki, divorce, this, whatever it may be. Okay, what do you want? Let's clarify that.
Yes.
And then you being accountable once a week, whether it's on Zoom, in person, it frees that person's mind going, this is important, I'm focused, that period, that 60 minutes or hour half, it's actually about them.
Yes, absolutely.
In order to get clarity and slowly help the transition period to do that, because no one's going to jump overnight.
Yeah, no,
and,
definitely not.
From this industry to that industry, it's like, that's unrealistic.
Yes, another thing that is important is that any change happens in very small steps.
You don't move a big boat.
No.
It's so 1 degree with a compass. Yeah.
It can never be that easy. So it is never easy to change, but it is necessary to change.
I don't think anyone likes change.
No, we don't.
From 10 to 20 it's different changes,
Yes. Yeah, we like the bubble that we are in. And lots of my couples, the couples which I'm dealing with, end up in two different bubbles with the kids in the middle. And when I show it to them, you in this bubble and your wife is in this bubble and the kids is in the middle, the only thing that connects you is the kids. You need to get back into one bubble as a family.
Okay, so what if that dynamic, the father or mother is separated? Okay,
That
so then
unfortunately, then it's already a divorce, or they are
okay,
already
so at
separated.
that level, how does one
But
manage
if you're not divorced and you live in your separate
Okay.
bubbles, that is when couples ask me for help. So how do we get back together?
Okay, and conversely to that, the other dynamic, for if they move on with their lives,
Yes.
how do you have any tips for that? Have you got experience with that?
Yes, definitely communication. That's the only thing, and try to be adults in the whole process, because the kids will pick it up. And you set an example to the kids, the way you communicate with each other, the way that you disagree with each other, the kids will see it, even at a very small age.
So perhaps
young
what
age.
are 1 or 2 or 3 practical ways in order to handle a situation like that?
Is like sit together around one table with the kids and discuss the new rules, because there's new rules. So together with the kids, we need to discuss how we're going to change or how we're going to steer this boat in a new direction. And then after that, the mom and the dad needs to sit together and also discuss the new rules.
And be clear on
And be
expectations
very clear. We want the best
for the
each
child.
other, first of all, for each other, and then for the children. Remember, life coaching, my focus is on my client. So if just one of the divorcees is with me, that's my focus. So, but because there's an attachment, I need to involve that person as well. So in life coaching, we say you cannot give something to someone else if you don't have it. So if you're not happy with yourself, content with who you are, then what is it that you give back to your ex or to your children? Or even to your family, friends,
Well, it's that
mom,
saying,
dad.
hurt people hurt people. So if you've
Exactly.
got your cups empty, you just blah, 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 and you,
Yes.
fear guilt on other people,
So
and you
make
dissipate
sure that
who you are.
you are a solid human being. If you're not, what is it that you give out to other people? Your kids need you, so you need to be strong. So get your ex-husband or wife to be an adult and to work together with you. That's the only way that there's going to be happiness. And the children will pick it up, and then they will say, okay, it is as nice to be with the dad as it is with the mom. Otherwise, you get this play-offs of, oh, but daddy gives us this, and mommy said we cannot do this and this and this. So there's a play-off the whole time, where as the adults, the parents work together, even if they divorce, they need to work together. They need to stick to the same rules and discipline. And that is the starting point.
As in mutually agreed upon rules, or that's, I think that's key. Why do you think so many high-performing people, high-functioning people feel so unfulfilled? Why is that?
Yes, and normally that will be at an older age, like 50s, I want to say. You get that feeling of people, there's no new challenges for them anymore. So the challenge here is that people in that bubble of not feeling good anymore about themselves is because there's no new challenges in their lives. And they need to make it now more interesting for themselves.
Inspiring goals to get up in the morning and go for it.
Setting new goals. They need to be getting out of their comfort zone and trying something new. And to make a change, it's hard work. So while we're in the comfort zone, we think, oh, everything is okay. I'm happy. I'm just content with who I am and what I'm doing. But if you want to grow at that level, then you need to get out of your comfort zone.
Which is a map, goals, stretching
Yes.
yourself. Okay.
Definitely. A new set of plans with new goals. Someone that can keep you accountable for it. So there is going to be new things you want to achieve. And that normally will be on a higher level as ever before in your life, because you are already functioning at a high level. You need now something even better. I've got couples at the moment that is highly qualified, like both of them as engineers. So even they are stuck or at a crossroad in their lives and just needs to, typically 40 to 50 years old, with a teenager in the house. So typically that very controversial phases in life. Yes, couples definitely. And then mums, stay-at-home mums these days is quite something, because you know, when you're a stay-at-home mum, your focus is your children. So you tend to forget about yourself. And then when your children is growing and challenging you, then you become less important to yourself. And then your mind is telling you, is playing games with you. So I'm not good enough anymore. I cannot do that. I cannot go back to corporate world. I cannot do something on my own. I'm scared of doing it. You know that old saying that we look through life with two lenses. The one is fear and the other one is love. So the moment we put on the fear lens, we just see negative things. We think negative. And then you are going down in the spiral, the change spiral. You're just going down. Whereby if you put the lens on where you see everything with love, then everything changes to positive. It's so easy to care if you feel good about yourself. But the moment you don't feel good about yourself, then it is when you don't see opportunities to do good to someone else as well. So yeah, the clients at the moment is all over the spectrum. Definitely teenagers. I've got a lot of teenagers that I'm working with. And then autism children, and then ADHD. That is challenges, and I can see the impact on the parents. It's huge. It is huge, because in everything that's happening in today's life, you have to deal with that on top of it. So where all the other parents is just dealing with an average kid on an average day, parents with kids with a type of disability even got, it's worse. It's worse, and it's a bigger challenge to deal with that, especially where we are in modern times.
Just in ending, if you're something light-hearted, perhaps on the top of your mind, from you to sharing to all the moms and dads out there in the family dynamics, because you're very much family orientated, and well, you work with professionals, but in the context of a family community podcast, what advice in general to say moms from 0 to say early, like 15, like kids like that? What advice can you give to moms and dads?
Yeah, I want to
Or is
say...
that age demographic
Yes.
too much? Is this
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
I want to say one thing. It's important to show love. And it sounds strange now because we're talking about life coaching, but just to love your partner, your husband, your wife, shows respect to the children. And then you get that children will respect you. So whatever you implement then in the house or in the family circle is with love and with respect. So then everybody accepts the new challenge in the house or the new rules. So the moment the mum and the dad is in control and they love each other and they show it, the ripple down to the kids is going to be easy.
The polar opposite to that is understandably there family dynamics out there that perhaps parents divorced and in perhaps good and bad, but let's for argument's say they've separated, moved on with their lives, but there's a child in the middle. I think in a beautiful way for clarity of that is just respectfully having crystal clear rules, boundaries, expectations on the dynamic going, it's different lives, but the child is the most important.
Yes.
But being clear as to how not to and disrespect each other with different partners. So it gets a bit more complicated.
It does.
But the clarity of being clear as to what's allowed, not allowed, and crossing those boundaries obviously dissipates anger, fear, betrayal. So
Definitely.
it's just clarity as to being clear on what's expected from both parties.
Yes.
I think that is the key takeaway.
Yes, definitely. And discipline. Parents mustn't be afraid to discipline their children. They need it. They want it. Children want to be disciplined. We think they don't, but they actually want. Set the boundaries because they want to know where's my boundaries. And they're going to test it. And that's absolutely normal. The child must test all discipline and rules. But give them the boundaries, but set the rules and make them understand the rules. That's very important. And stick to your rules, mom and dad. Stick to your rules. Because if you're going to slip on one or two of them, the children is going to force you to slip on all of them.
And the child loses respect.
Absolutely.
In other words, no video games for a week or 2 weeks, and within a day you cripple.
Yes.
They'll keep taking chances.
They're very clever to see the gap.
Yeah.
And they will take that chance, opportunity.
I think there's a constant sort of peace and war in the family dynamic. And I suppose that as a fun little example, a family going on holiday in a car with mommy and daddy in the front, and there's brother and sister in the back seat, and dad and mom are quietly, he's driving, she's reading a book, and little 10-year-old and 8-year-old at the back, and they're busy fighting and arguing, and the mom turns around and, Johnny, stop, leave your sister alone.
Yes.
And 30 seconds later they're still playing, and then the mom turns around again.
Yes.
Stop playing now, stop it.
Yes.
Then they do it again. Now, the father is, getting tense. And then the mother does it again. To which he pulls over, stops the car, opens the door, gives them a walloping. Then they're both inside crying. And then, within 20 seconds, in other words, there's peace in the front, but war at the back with the kids. Now with what happened, the discipline, as you mentioned, now with that, what happened, within 20 seconds, the kids are crying when they subside. Now the kids are peace at the back. Now in the front, the mother's like, you didn't need to be so hard. Why are you so hard?
Yes.
Now the father's like,
yes. That's so typically,
do you know what I mean? So there's a constant peace and war in the family dynamic, but everyone in a blender put together, it's love.
Yeah,
we're all teaching each other how to bring out the best version of ourselves, basically.
And that's why the mom and the dad always needs to stand on the same point. And they need to back each other the whole time because kids will pick that up as well. So why didn't they listen to the mom? Because they know they can take a gap with the mom. So it's until the dad take action then that the kids will listen. It's not supposed to work like that. The mum must be as important in discipline as the dad.
But sometimes mom wants to always be the angel, the good person.
They need to stop that.
The friend, which you mentioned earlier, the significance.
Yes.
In other words, you can't be your child's best buddy.
No,
because, in other words, if you go too far over that, then you don't have it in you. And when you want the child to do something, the child doesn't do it.
Exactly.
So...
And it will never change. And the older the kids are, then it will never change. So change it while the kids are small.
When you say never change, in getting older in the 20s, 30s, getting married, that individual, what are the traits? What are the common?
Yeah, normally the kids that didn't listen to discipline at home, it all depends on what type
spoiled
of
brat scenario.
that spoiled brat scenario. They will carry it over to their children.
To their kids.
That is the kids that become best friend with their children. Because they want to be in the favor of the children the whole time. And that's wrong. That's wrong. That is where we slip on respect for each other.
So it really
your
comes
mum
down...
and your dad is not only your provider, you need to respect them as well. And so, yeah, it comes down to responsibility at the end of the day. No? We all need to take responsibility. In one of the very first sessions with clients, I picked up that there is blaming and justifying taking place the whole time. So the client will tell me, I cannot exercise because I'm working until 5 o'clock. I cannot do this because of that the whole time. So that normally happens in the first session. And then immediately I've got a starting point. Immediately. And the starting point is to show it to them. Listen, I hear blaming. I hear you justifying. So when are you going to take responsibility?
And accountability.
And accountability. So that is where...
In other words, that's the source. In other words, blaming this, that, those are all symptoms at the source. Nobody's being accountable or putting the goals. Very interesting, eh?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Can I show you? I've got a triangle. So I've got this very famous triangle of mine where people will blame and justify the whole time.
Okay, that's a lovely diagram. Take us through it. What is this?
So, yeah. So just by listening to my clients, and normally in the very first session, this is happening, where they justify why they are stuck or at the crossroad or cannot do something or don't know what to do or blame other people for being in this position that they are. So this is the first thing that I will pick up. And then I will show this triangle to them. And normally I will tell them, it's time for you to take responsibility. And by meaning taking responsibility is you need to act. Nobody is going to act on behalf of you. So responsibility, accountability is when you take the first action. Not me as the life coach or your husband or anyone else. And that is the biggest realization that the client can see. And immediately they are shocked.
There's something
They're
there.
shocked.
There's something there.
And then they will say, but it's hard work. And I said, it is hard work.
But it's rewarding.
It is rewarding.
Because one's mind is very easy to get pretty much like fog. There's so much information. And perhaps with the work and the tools you use, you help clear the fog to see, actually, listen, you say you're stressed out. It's like, okay, let's dissect it. Let's put in different functions.
Yes.
That's, I think, yeah, it's the work you do is remarkable, Marlie. And
thank you.
Yeah, like
thank you so much.
And thank you, I think, in ending, again, thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I hope that...
Putting myself out of my comfort zone.
Sure, I pushed you a little bit.
I hope I'm growing today. So, yeah, and I want to believe that. And thank you for the opportunity, Warwick. I know it took some very
had to really convince you
to do this, but I really hope that the people out there...
Or learn something new.
Yes,
or new,
yes, on life coaching. And life coaching is not just changing things in your life. It's really deep. It is really deep.
And it's not, I think, with your spouse or girlfriend or partner or it's incredible. I mean, loving your partner, that's fantastic. But coming in this dynamic, speaking to the likes of somebody like you, is that there's no emotion. In other words, you're getting data from your clients,
yes,
and you're going, okay, that's a problem. Not props. This is the roadmap.
Yes.
That, I think, is a biggie because you're too scared or afraid of rejection, not being good enough, fear of, not being good enough, or the fear of saying something, walking on eggshells, basically, and then you don't make the decision, make the career move, whatever it may be. But yeah, so I guess I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah,
Yes.
it's lovely to have, I love your
It's
industry.
okay to make mistakes. I think
Just
at the
learn
end of
from
the
them,
day, the most important message here is it's okay to make mistakes. We are all human beings. We need to start laughing again.
But it's how
enjoy.
quickly we can fix it
It's
to be
how
able
quickly you can stand up and do something and try something new. To make another mistake is also okay,
and it's inevitable.
and it's
Yeah.
inevitable. So this is life. This is life. Go and enjoy it. Be you and be happy at the end of the day.
Marlie, thank you again. It was an
Thank you.
absolute pleasure, and I hope to see you again on the podcast. But
Thank you, Arik.